Welcome back to VA Media YouTube channel. I'm your host Sharon Esther Ambani. It's been a while, so if you're new to this channel, I would please ask you to subscribe and also share. December 1st, 2021, we are going to commemorate the World HIV and AIDS Day. In most cases, we usually have the perception that those who are living with HIV got it through sexual transmission, and in our society there are those who are ready to judge us because they are ready to judge those people living with HIV, saying that they got it immorally. But we keep on forgetting that there are those number of people who got it either through the sharp objects or got it through they were transmitted through parental line. So today I'm joined by one youth from Kakamega County who got HIV through parent line, and we are going to engage with him through a conversation. Would you kindly just tell us who you are and what you do?
My name is BULIMO. I'm a HIV advocate for prevention amongst young people.
Where do you come from?
I come from Kakamega.
The village?
Navaholo sub-county, Butsotso West.
Okay. So Davis, maybe tell us your story, why we are here today. How did you grow up?
I grew up in a church setup. So I became sick at an age of 11. I was bedridden. Thereafter, I was diagnosed with HIV. So I was really mingling with others, talking to others, because you have just to interact with others. Because we live in a village. We don't live in an urban setup, whereby we have compounds, but we live in a village, in a community setup. Today as kids or children, we are playing at our home. Tomorrow, we are playing at our neighbor's place.
Okay, so in other words, you grew up in a setup that is very normal to each and everyone. So how did you get to know that you were sick?
At an age of 11, I became sick. I went to hospital. I was told that, okay, I wasn't told. I went to hospital. I was bedridden I was admitted for 3 months. Thereafter, after leaving the hospital, I started getting some pills, of which I was told that you have to take the pills for you not to again go back to the state that you were.
So in this state, had you already known that you were living with HIV and AIDS? You had been diagnosed with HIV and AIDS, or were you just taking medication?
I was taking medication to avoid me going to the state that I was previously. I didn't understand that I was taking the medication because they were ARVs. Yes.
Okay. So when did you exactly know that you are taking HIV and the ARVs?
2009. Yes.
What transpired to that event that you came to know you are taking those ARVs and not just any other medication?
I had gone to a facility as normal for people living with HIV for checkups. So I was going to take my drugs. So thereafter, them days you are used to be giving eggs and prepare some porridge, then you play with your fellow kids. But that day, I didn't want to play with my kids. I decided to be with elders, okay, with the caregivers, elders, so that I can learn from what they were being told. There, I had someone, okay, the one that was the tutor, or the one that was trying to counsel the elders, saying that these elders are taking treatment because everyone in the room was HIV positive. From there, it hit my mind that I was taking these tablets because I was HIV positive. But now the counselor said, if you don't take the treatment, you'll die. So I was taking the drugs to avoid death.
Okay. I want to believe that in 2009, many people were not yet well educated about HIV and AIDS. And maybe there's that perception that a person who has HIV and AIDS would probably just die from the disease. How did you take it at first, seeing that maybe people are saying this is a deadly disease?
It's very difficult to accept, and it is normal to almost everyone when you are diagnosed with a new disease that has negative influence to the community. Like at first, when the HIV epidemic came out, when you are being diagnosed with HIV, you could be isolated. So, and from what was in the books, from what we were reading, it was very difficult for me to accept that I was going to die, as it was some pictures in the science books. So it was very difficult for me to accept. But since I was taking the pills for fear of death, that is the reason why made me to continue taking pills.
Did this affect your way of living after finding out your status? Did it affect you in any way?
It affected me because I started taking pills daily, of which it changed my way of living. I wasn't taking pills daily while I was a kid, so I started taking pills daily. Yes.
Okay, and what about your status? Did you reveal to other people your status at that time, or you being a kid you kept it to yourself?
I didn't disclose the status to anyone because there was stigma. Stigma was very high compared to now. Okay, and even maybe the teachers at the school, for them they didn't have enough or adequate knowledge to do with HIV. So due to that, I didn't disclose my status to anyone. Or I don't know if my parents did. Yeah.
Okay, and there is that. What about the status of your parents? Was it known at that time? Maybe your status was hidden at that time. What about that of your parents?
The status of my parents, I didn't know the status of my parents. Yes.
So
because they didn't tell me the status, their status. Because someone's status, they have to tell you their status. Yes.
Okay. And when you were diagnosed, when you found out you are HIV positive, since in African setups you said you used to take medicine, and you didn't know the medicine what it was for. So after you knew your status, did you approach your parents? What did your parents tell you?
I was with my parents when I was being diagnosed with HIV. So they just told me to continue taking the treatment. They tell me to continue taking the treatment because they also feared losing me as a child. Because dad's love to the child, losing a child is very sorrowful. So that is the reason why they told me they'll support me to continue taking my medication and not to leave them at an early stage.
So does that mean the relation became more close?
The relation was close, but the degree at which it added by a certain fraction.
Okay. So what about your environment at school? How did you survive at school with this status now that you have to take medication?
It was like a cat and mouse thing. So you hide your status to survive very good. When your status are known to students, you'll have what you call a harsh environment. So for me, I played the mouse way. So I was trying to hide my status, hide medicine, let nobody guess. If someone gets me taking medicine, I say maybe I'm having a flu or it is a fever, or maybe I'm having a cold, then I take my medication. And up to when I finished my academic.
So in your entire academic period, there is no one who came to know about your status?
There is one.
Could you tell us what transpired to that event and how did the person take it?
There is my classmate, a girl that I was seeing, came to know my status. Then she disclosed the status to almost everyone. So people were like, oh, he's HIV positive, he's HIV positive. I faced stigma and isolation. But I stood firm. I thank my facility because they used to have psychosocial support groups that educated me and equipped me with knowledge that made me understand, okay, you can live with HIV. At first, I defaulted taking treatment for almost a year, but I was cancelled. The pastor came to our house, talked to me, then I resumed the treatment.
During that time when you defaulted, maybe what challenges did you go through during that 1 year period?
When you default, you don't have challenges because the pill burden of taking medication, you've withdrawn the pill burden. But now your health deteriorates. Yeah. So I lost weight. Yeah, you get other opportunistic infections like TB. You are just there. Your immune is just weakened. Yeah.
Okay, so when did you decide or when did you start this journey of educating people, since you've said you are an advocate of living a life, a preventive life? So when did you start this journey?
I started this journey immediately after a classmate, or a year after a classmate told the rest of the school that I was HIV positive. So that is after I had defaulted. When they cancelled, they brought me back. Then I said, okay, if I've lived with this virus, then I have to make other people that are living with the virus to live despite what people are talking behind their backs. So I started this journey in the year 2012.
So what basically do you do in your advocacy?
We create awareness mostly. We do what we call treatment support. We distribute drugs to the community. For those that cannot come to the facility, pick drugs. We have a team of members that we distribute drugs. Then we do what we call school health programs. We go to schools, give life experience to students about living with HIV.
Okay, so you've also told me that your program engages the youth. Currently, we are living in a sexual rampant society where sex is taken as a normal thing now. What do you advocate to the youths, or what do you teach the youths about HIV and infection?
For me, I major around the ease. We use edutainment to reach the youth, okay? And we are empowering the youth. So what I'm trying to talk to the youth mostly is about prevention measures. And the youth, you can get the youth in different setups. The youth that I get in schools, I talk to them about abstinence. I advocate for abstinence among school-going kids. The youth I get in border sector, I talk about use of condoms. I try to encourage them to use of condoms. And the youth that I get that are married but they are youth, you can be married and you are a youth, I talk to them about being faithful. So we have a whole package for these adolescents and youth.
Okay, in your package, so do you have people who have already come out to you telling their status, because there are those who are fearing the stigma of the society? Are there people who have come to you and open up about their situation?
Yes, we do. Because our organization deals with the youth, and every youth, not even for those living with HIV. It is either you are infected or affected. As long as you don't know your status, you might be infected or affected. So there are so many youth that have opened up, and we've helped them, we've linked them to treatment, and we've monitored them up to the time whereby they are doing well on treatment. Some, we removed them from the grave. It is like they were almost approaching the grave, where their health was deteriorated, they were bedridden, just waiting for days to die. But we've brought them up to now, they are champions.
Wow, I love that positivity. Now, I would want you to just talk a little about statistics in Kakamega County and the youth living with HIV and AIDS. At which stage are we at currently? So
Kakamega, we are among the top 5 counties that are dealing with the new infection at the moment. But the current youth that are living with HIV, there are more than 7,001 adolescents and young people between the age of 10 to 24 that are living with HIV. So these are not good statistics. And the new infection rate is high. Top 5 in the national. It is not good. They are not good. And these new infections and as you look like for the youth, we are also having teenage pregnancies, and teenage pregnancies is directly related to HIV infections. Because when you are being impregnated, that simply means you didn't use protection and you didn't know the status of the partner. So some get infection. So at statistics as a county, we are having so many adolescents and young people living with HIV, but we want to manage that number so that we cannot add that number. For the increasing number, we want to manage it, but we want to advocate for what we call HIV prevention. People to abstain, people to be faithful, people to consistently use condom.
Okay, I want to believe that for the numbers to rise until that point, there might be a reason as to why, a cause as to why it's rising in that manner. Maybe if you tell me, what are some of the reasons why you think Kakamega, the number keeps on rising?
The reasons in Kakamega, they might vary, but these are what we call independent reasons, because someone will engage in sex with her own reasons. We cannot say maybe, so at some point you can get maybe it is as a result of sexual intercourse that we are having new increase, unprotected sexual intercourse, okay? And these numbers have risen maybe I think as a result of corona, whereby so many youth are idle, and an idle mind you think of anything. And at the age of youth, you have to explore. This is an exploration stage. So when they are trying to explore it, is when they are trying to get infection. The trust issues, we've dated for 1 or 2, 3 months, we trust each other. Now why can't we have raw? So that raw leads to infections. So I think the reason why most of the infections are happening in Kakamega is our youth are becoming sexually active and they're not using protection for those that are trying to get the new infections.
Okay. Yeah. So apart from individual groups like yours that raise awareness, what do you think the county has put in place to ensure that they put preventive measures to help the youth not get HIV and also manage those cases? And maybe what would you want them to do more?
The county is trying to partner with the youth groups to create awareness, and through the facilities they are trying to provide what we call educative packages for people living with HIV. So that is what it's trying to do. But what I want to say the county should improve is to increase funding for HIV-related programs. More so communal programs, okay, so that the community can own the programs. They come, they create awareness to the community, they talk to the people in the community, they involve the youth. They make it in a way that it is a communal thing. Not to be like it is a hospital setup program. We want it to be a community setup program.
During the pandemic, there is this challenge that came up about medicine, the scarcity of medicine. Maybe could you talk about that and what has been done to combat that challenge?
Yeah, there was shortage of medicine. There was shortage of these antiretroviral drugs. So, and it is because you can see it was very open between the donor and the government trying to agree on the taxes. So, but eventually they came to agreement, though people living with HIV experienced some difficulties for a period of almost a year. So they experienced some difficulties, like you are normally giving treatment for 6 months or 3 months, but now you are being given treatment for monthly pills. So they experienced some difficulties, but I think the government came to resolve with the donor. Now, right now at the moment, there is enough treatment for AYPs.
There's this notion in the society that definitely any person who has HIV and AIDS got it through immoral acts and sexual transmission. Maybe could you just clear it up? And in as much as somebody got it through sexual transmission, could you also educate people on people are able to live with the status and through care?
You know, HIV as it was brought, or when we started learning about HIV, it was a perspective of sexually transmitted infection, all the way from the syllabus, okay? So I think the curriculum has to change. The curriculum has to change, and we need to do what we call more community awareness forums, so that people should not relate. Of course, most infection at the moment they're happening because of sexual intercourse, unprotected sexual intercourse, not immorality, okay? And sexual intercourse can be moral or immoral, depending on the community you are coming from, okay? It can be moral to have sex at an age of 18 or 19, and it can be moral to have sex at an age of 18 to 19. So what I can tell people is, it is all about fraction. There is a fraction that is getting HIV through sexual intercourse, and there is also a fraction that is has HIV because of family. You are born with HIV. So HIV is real, but let us own it. It is not a deadly disease. As long as we take the pills, the pill burden has been reduced. As long as we take the pills, we live.
Okay. Maybe every person wants to be in a relationship. Do you find any difficulty approaching somebody, or also are you single? Let's start at that. Are you single? I'm dating
a HIV negative girlfriend. I find it difficult for me to express my status to her, but I tried my best to explain myself, and eventually she understood because I educated her. I took her through the sessions to understand, because she didn't understand what HIV is. She knew that. She asked me, why haven't you died? But I talked to her, explained everything, how the pills are working. So every time she reminds me of taking medication.
We all need that person to support us.
Yeah.
So, conclusion, what would you tell somebody who is at home and is fearing to go to a VCT center to know their status? What would you tell such a person?
You can only plan your life when you know your status. If you haven't known your status, you haven't yet planned your life. That is what I can tell someone at home.
Thank you very much for your story. It was an inspiration, and I want to believe someone who has watched you, who has not yet gone to know their status, might make that decision to go forward and know their status. Thank you very much. So that has been it, my viewers. We've all heard the story from him. Not every HIV status case is transmitted through sexual transmission, but that does not mean that even if you got it through sexual transmission, that you are immoral or in any way. So therefore, let's stay protected and visit any VCT center, know your status. If you are positive, it's not the end of your life. There is medicine which will keep you going. I've been your host, Sharon Esther Ambani. Do not forget to subscribe, to like, to share. Thank you. Goodbye.